be acceptable to thee, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. How many of you just love the angry Jesus? Yes, I like happy Jesus. I like walk on water Jesus. I even like sleeping Jesus. But today we get angry Jesus. So there's a little context you need to know. Jesus is talking about this baptism that he's headed toward, and he's yearning to be there to go through this baptism. This is the baptism of which John the Baptist talks in Luke about what's going to happen. John the Baptist says, there is one coming who is greater than I, who will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. So here comes the fire. And the fire is, for Jesus, what he's going to give his life for. So what is he giving his life for? Well, the entire human species, the entire human race. But he's also giving his life for love, for inclusion, for the real nature of God, which has been belittled by religiosity. All the things which are honest and true and good is what he's dying for. And we as Christians have to choose as we go through life. We all have struggles and conflicts. We all have these pressing things that we have to figure out, and usually as a result of working through them, we gain some wisdom and we become better people. But we always have to decide if this cause or this issue or this crisis is the hill you're willing to die on. Are you willing to die on this hill? Well, we as a parish have already done this work in one aspect. We're never done, there'll be more. But 4 years ago, we discovered that there had never been any real discussion of where this church stands on gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, queer, and questioning, where that community is welcome here in this church. I was advised and warned, and there was a little bit of hysteria over, we can't talk about that. People will leave. Don't talk about this. Well, that's the message I got. And it was a hill that I would die on, because you hired a radically inclusive priest. So I saw an education coming, and it just so happened that I had been introduced to this film, a documentary called Before the Bible Tells Me So. So what we did is we organized 8 different sessions through the month of October. Do you remember this? And in those 8 sessions, we showed the film, and then we had a professionally led discussion afterwards. I was there, and I had wonderful parishioners who volunteered to be with me at every one of those 8 sessions so that I would have support. Isn't that amazing? It was wonderful. What we found out in those sessions was that in all 8 of them, there were people on one side of the spectrum, and there were people on the other side of the spectrum. The deal in sharing after this movie was not to say who's right. The deal in sharing was that we have to listen to the person without saying anything. We get to listen to anybody who's willing to share, and we'll say thank you for sharing. The goal of these sessions was to bring things out in the open and to actually do the work of talking with one another and acknowledging that we're not as welcoming as we thought. And I think that was the hardest thing to do with this particular parish, is we pride ourselves on being hospitable and welcoming everyone. But when it came to this community, there was division. The other thing that I did, I thought was brave at the time, but it was a little terrifying. I was told there were certain individuals in this church who would leave if I dared to talk about this. So that's like hanging a red flag in front of me. I called each of those people. I asked, there were 4 visits I made. I asked if I could come into their home for the purpose of listening to them only. They could ask me any question they wanted to, and I wanted to hear how they had arrived at what their ideas were of inclusion or non-inclusion. And it turned out to be the most humbling thing I have ever done. It was not hard to stay quiet It was painful to listen because I was so humbled by people telling me their story of how they came to believe what they believe. And it broke my heart. But it also gave us the opportunity to have solidarity with each other, that I promised them that I'm not going to push anything on this church. The only thing we had in common during this difficult, fiery time was that we wanted to hear what the other person said. And by doing that, we became better pastors ourselves. What happened as a result of that week, or month, it was a month, was that we grew up. We had done work. And because we did the work, I had to live into my promise, which was easy to live into. We will not talk about this again unless we need to. We have become more open. We have become more aware of how the other person feels. And we have agreed that our church is in a process, and that that process will take as long as it takes. And there will always be more differences among us. When we share the peace, we're sharing the peace with people who vote opposite our vote. Do we think, well, that's just negating my vote, or we give the peace to everybody? Well, that's easy. We know each other. We give the peace to everybody, but we have a pretty much equal distribution of Republicans and Democrats in this parish. Did you know that? And we respect that. We also know that we learned how to be more inclusive through doing some of this hard work. We will have to do it again, and I'm sticking around for a while. I'm happy to lead us in more discussions. But what we need to know about ourselves is that we were willing to do the talking. And you should put a hand on your shoulder and be proud of the work that you've done. I felt supported in every one of those meetings. I felt sympathy for both sides, and it wasn't hard since I felt so much solidarity with what we were doing together. We came to a new place. There was daughter against father, daughter against mother. There was mother against daughter. There was conflict. But here we all are. And we can talk about the fire and go drink coffee at the coffee hour.